Welcome to the Reds Trends, your ultimate home for everything Liverpool FC. Stay ahead of the game with the latest breaking transfer news, tactical analysis, match reactions and daily updates straight from Anfield. Whether it's Premier League title battles or Champions League nights, we bring you all the action and insights you need as a true fan. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. Up the Reds, YNWA, Liverpool's shock move for Ibrahim Mbaye. The transfer that could change everything. The summer transfer window is reaching its most dramatic stage, and just when Liverpool supporters thought they had seen every possible twist, a new name has suddenly exploded onto the transfer radar. Ibrahim Mbaye, a name that may not yet have the same global recognition as some of football's biggest stars, but one that is increasingly being discussed as a player with the talent, personality and potential to become a major figure at the highest level. And now Liverpool are reportedly positioning themselves for a move. The possibility of Liverpool signing Ibrahim Mbaye has sent a wave of excitement through supporters who are always searching for the next superstar capable of making the difference at Anfield. This is not simply about signing another young player. This is about identifying potential before the rest of Europe catches up. And Liverpool could be preparing to make that move before the market becomes even more complicated. The question is no longer whether Mbaye has talent. The question is whether Liverpool can move quickly enough. The name beginning to echo around Anfield, Liverpool have always understood one fundamental truth about modern football. The biggest stars are not always discovered when they're already famous. Sometimes the smartest clubs identify them before everyone else. That is why the name Ibrahim Mbaye has become so intriguing. The young attacker represents the kind of profile that can make sporting departments sit up and pay attention. Explosive, fearless, technically gifted, and most importantly, still young enough to develop into something even greater. For Liverpool, that combination is extremely attractive. The club does not simply want players who can help today. They want players who can become important tomorrow. And Mbaye could fit perfectly into that vision. Imagine the scene. A young player arrives at Anfield carrying enormous expectations, thousands of supporters watching, the famous cop behind the goal, the Liverpool shirt on his back, and the opportunity to turn potential into reality. That is the dream. But Liverpool know dreams alone are not enough. A transfer has to make footballing sense. And that is where this story becomes particularly interesting. Why Liverpool could be interested? Liverpool's recruitment strategy has increasingly focused on building a squad capable of competing at the highest level while also preparing for the future. That means identifying young talent before their value reaches extraordinary levels. Mbaye fits the description of the type of player who could attract that attention. He has the kind of attacking profile that makes defenders uncomfortable. He can threaten space, he can carry the ball, he can create moments, and he has the raw ingredients that coaches can develop. That last point may be the most important. Liverpool are not necessarily looking at Mbaye because they expect him to immediately become the biggest star at Anfield. They could be looking at what he might become. That distinction matters. A young player does not need to arrive as a finished product. He needs to arrive with the mentality and ability to become one. And that is where Liverpool's potential interest becomes fascinating. The Anfield dream for Mbaye. A move to Liverpool would represent something enormous. Anfield is not just another stadium. It is one of football's most iconic stages. Every young player dreams about walking into an environment where the pressure is enormous, but the rewards can be extraordinary. The first training session would be watched closely. The first appearance would generate headlines. The first goal could instantly turn a promising youngster into a fan favourite, and Liverpool supporters know how quickly affection can grow when a young player shows courage. They love players who fight. They love players who run. They love players who are not afraid to take responsibility. If Mbaye were to arrive and immediately show those qualities, the relationship with the supporters could become special. But before any of that can happen, Liverpool must win the race. The race could become intense. Liverpool are unlikely to be the only club monitoring a talented young attacker. The moment a youngster begins attracting serious attention, clubs across Europe start asking questions, scouts appear, recruitment departments gather information, agents begin receiving calls, and suddenly what looked like a straightforward opportunity becomes a race. Liverpool therefore have one major advantage if they truly want Mbaye: timing. Moving early could be crucial. Waiting too long could allow his reputation to grow. And once that happens, the price can rise dramatically. This is why Liverpool's interest, if it develops into a concrete proposal, could become one of the most fascinating stories of the transfer window. The club could be attempting to secure the future before the market fully recognises the player's potential. A gamble or a masterstroke? There will inevitably be people asking the same question. Is signing such a young player worth the risk? That is fair. Every transfer is a gamble. Even established stars can struggle after moving to a new club. But young players offer something different. They offer possibility. A possibility that, if developed correctly, can become something extraordinary. Liverpool have a long history of understanding that football is not only about what a player is today. It is about what that player could become tomorrow. And Mbaye represents exactly that kind of opportunity. The club would not simply be buying a player. They would be investing in a story that could begin quietly and eventually become enormous. The moment that could change everything. Now imagine the transfer window entering its final days. The clock is ticking, clubs are rushing, agents are negotiating, supporters are refreshing their phones every few minutes. Then suddenly Liverpool make their move. A proposal is submitted. Conversations intensify. The players' representatives begin discussing the possibility of Anfield, and Liverpool supporters start asking one question. Could Ibrahim Mbaye really be coming to Liverpool? That is when the transfer would move from speculation into genuine drama. Because once Liverpool decide they want a player, the situation can change very quickly. A quiet negotiation can suddenly become a headline. A headline can become a breakthrough, and a breakthrough can become a signing. That is the beauty of the transfer window. Nothing is guaranteed until the paperwork is complete. Why the move could be huge for Liverpool. The biggest reason this potential transfer is attracting attention is not simply Mbaye's current ability. It is his ceiling. Liverpool supporters have seen what can happen when a talented young player is placed in the right environment. Give him elite coaching. Give him world-class teammates. Give him the pressure of playing for a club where every match matters. Give him the opportunity to learn from experienced professionals. And suddenly, the player who arrived as a prospect can begin transforming into a star. That could be the long-term vision. Liverpool could be thinking beyond the next 6 months. They could be thinking about the next 5 years. The pressure would be enormous. Of course, joining Liverpool would not be easy. There would be enormous pressure. Every mistake would be analysed. Every missed opportunity would be discussed. Every impressive performance would create even greater expectations. For a young player, that environment can be overwhelming. But it can also accelerate development. The challenge would be to give Mbaye enough time to adapt without placing unrealistic expectations on his shoulders. He would not need to become Liverpool's superstar overnight. He would need to learn, adapt, compete, improve, and wait for his moment. Football rewards patience, and sometimes the player who waits for his opportunity eventually becomes the player nobody can remove from the starting lineup. The dream of a breakthrough. There is something incredibly romantic about young players making their breakthrough at massive clubs. One moment they are unknown to the wider football world. The next, they are standing under the Anfield lights. One brilliant run, one unbelievable finish, one moment of courage, and suddenly thousands of supporters are singing their name. That is what makes a potential Mbaye transfer so exciting. The story has not been written yet. The chapter is still blank, but Liverpool could be preparing to put their name at the top of the page. The transfer window clock is ticking. The closer the transfer deadline gets, the more intense every negotiation becomes. There is no room for hesitation. Clubs have to make decisions. Players have to consider their futures. Agents have to negotiate. And sporting directors have to decide whether to act now or wait. For Liverpool, Mbaye could represent an opportunity that becomes significantly harder to secure if they delay. If they believe he can become an elite player, then waiting for another season could be dangerous. His performances could improve more